My heart breaks for the current state of DC. No one cares about DC anymore. The fan base is no longer existent. I know this firsthand. This summer, I was in a gathering of over 300 people. The speaker asked during his speech if there was any Marvel fans in the room, and almost everyone, and when I say almost everyone, I mean 99% of the crowd raised their hand, me included because I like Marvel. But when the speaker asked if there were any DC fans, my hand immediately shot up and I raised it proudly as high as I could for everyone to see. I looked around to see how many people were with me in agreement, and I was shocked to find only about 4 other hands raised with mine. There was even a boo that came from the crowd. It was at that moment that I realized I was alone in this world. Me and a small handful of others forced to walk this world alone, DC lovers, in an earth full of Marvel tards. Now, if you're the average superhero movie fan, then be honest with yourself. You're just a Marvel movie fan. And as a Marvel fan, you are probably saying to yourself right now, dude, shut up, it's just DC. DC sucks, get over yourself. And if that's what your response is, or even somewhat in the ballpark of what you're thinking, then you kind of have validated my point. I'm not saying that Marvel is bad or that it's bad to like Marvel. I love Marvel. But the point I'm trying to make is that no one cares about DC anymore. It's hard to believe that from 2008 to 2018, DC was just as popular as Marvel. The Dark Knight movies were huge. Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman all gave Marvel some heavy competition, and even for as much of a failure as Justice League was when it came out in 2017, it proved that even at DC's lowest, it was one of the biggest things in Hollywood at the time. Flash forward to the time period of 2019 through 2023, and the DC landscape is as gloomy as a world being terraformed by Darkseid. While a lot of people will claim that they don't like Marvel anymore, there are still massive amounts of people who geek out over the newest Marvel movies or make Marvel their most popular talking point. DC, on the other hand, has all but fallen out of the conversation, and if people do discuss DC, it is rarely in a positive light. And it's sad to say, but I can't deny that this is all a demise of DC and Warner Brothers' own doing. They couldn't stick to a plan. They didn't make the universe coherent, and they held their movies on the shelf for far too long. I still think that on average, DC has better movies than Marvel, but in the last 2 years, while I think all 4 of the new entries in the DCEU have been good, they all have been lacking or disappointing, especially when comparing them to the DC movies that came only a couple years earlier. The new movies have either been generic or safe, or feel like they were rushed and unfinished, and as a guy who loves these characters, this really leaves me sad and unsatisfied. When a studio releases 4 movies theatrically in 1 year, and the best product to come from that studio is Harley Quinn Season 4, you know you have a problem. Is it really too much for a DC fan to ask for something with the same level of heart and wonder that we got from shows such as Batman the Animated Series or Justice League Unlimited? The filmmakers had the characters, they had the storylines, they had the worlds and the massive budgets, and it all got wasted on generic, sloppy Hollywood consumption that got by with just enough heart, just enough style. Just enough. Sure, it was better than Black Widow, Multiverse of Madness, Thor Love and Thunder, and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. But I don't want just better. I want the best. It's an unpopular opinion of mine, but I think that DC has come out with some of the greatest movies of all time. Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and Wonder Woman are movies that I think are narratively, thematically, and visually masterpieces, some of the best ever made. Even a lot of the animated content is incredible. Batman the Animated Series, Justice League Unlimited, Teen Titans, Young Justice, The Flashpoint Paradox, The Dark Knight Returns Part 1, the list can go on and on. While the current state of DC and DC films is pretty gloomy, pretty bad, the fanbase just doesn't exist, there is still hope going forward. I might be part of that less than 1% of people in the entire world that actually give a darn about DC. You know what still has one of the biggest fan bases in the world? Batman. The Flash proved that you can't just put Batman into a movie and make it successful, but the Batman proved in 2022 that if you do Batman right, people will still show up in droves. This leads me to wonder, does Superman still have that kind of a draw? When I heard that James Gunn was starting off his DC Universe reboot with a Superman movie, followed by a new Batman movie, I was pretty skeptical. It seemed that as a DC fan, the filmmakers were taking me back to square one. I wanted to see more new characters like Shazam and Blue Beetle come to the big screen. Give me a movie about Zatanna, about Hawkgirl, about Dr. Fate. Heck, even give me Plastic Man or the Autumn. But why on earth do we need another Superman and another Batman? I'll answer that question because they're stinking awesome. But seriously, the reason we need them is because without them, no one cares. 2023 has proven that nobody wants to watch a movie about Shazam. Nobody wants to watch a Blue Beetle movie. Heck, with how bad the circumstances were and are, no one even wants to watch a Flash movie. But Batman? People will watch a movie about him. And it's safe to say, based on his box office track record, that people will even watch a movie about Superman, especially when James Gunn is at the helm. James Gunn is the other big reason that I have hope for DC going forward. He is the guy responsible for the second best Marvel trilogy of all time, and for some of the best movies in the MCU. He has proven that he knows how to write characters and do an incredible job at directing the camera. He is one of the few people that I think can make a great DC shared universe if given the creative freedom to do so. This time, I hope it turns out right. I hope the studio gives him the creative leeway and the time he needs to craft the perfect story to make this an incredible cinematic experience. I think that DC fans deserve their endgame moment. Even if it takes 20 to 30 years for people to give enough of a darn about DC to get it, we as fans, even the small minority that we are, deserve it. And I know that eventually the day will come when I can sit back and agree with the rest of the world that DC is better than Marvel.
The red capes are coming. The red capes are coming.
Thank you all for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell to help you be on the lookout for more videos from Luke Filmboss. Have a great day. I'll see y'all later.